Did you know that addiction in the workplace affects millions of employees every year? I'm going to show you the subtle cues you might be missing and what you can do about it. Addiction doesn't just impact the individual. It can have devastating effect on entire teams. I'm going to unveil the hidden signs and offer practical solutions for a healthier workplace. Addiction is no longer confined to back alleys or after-hours bars. It has steadily infiltrated professional spaces, including corporate offices, virtual teams, and frontline workforces. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated this trend, introducing an era of remote work that, while offering flexibility, also isolated employees from accountability and connection. The shift created an environment where stress, anxiety, and burnout thrived, giving rise to coping mechanisms that often turned destructive. For many workers, the home became both an office and a refuge, blurring personal and professional boundaries. With fewer social interactions and less oversight, employees were more likely to turn to alcohol, prescription medications, or behavioral addictions like gambling, online shopping, or compulsive internet use. Mental health challenges, long stigmatized or ignored in the workplace, became magnified, and with them, so did patterns of addiction. The effects of addiction are deeply personal, yet inevitably ripple outward. On an individual level, addiction can impair cognitive functioning, emotional regulation, and physical well-being. Employees struggling with addiction may experience difficulty concentrating, frequent fatigue, unpredictable mood swings, and a decline in the quality or consistency of their work. This decline doesn't go unnoticed. Co-workers may find themselves covering for missed tasks, dealing with erratic communication, or picking up emotional tension in the workplace. Over time, these disruptions begin to degrade team cohesion, trust, and morale. Productivity suffers not just because of one struggling employee, but because entire teams may become strained under the weight of unspoken issues. In high-stakes environments, this can lead to costly errors, failed deadlines, and missed opportunities, creating a cumulative drag on organizational performance. Addressing addiction in the workplace is not simply a matter of corporate policy. It's a matter of culture and compassion. Unfortunately, many employees remain ill-equipped to identify the signs of addiction or unsure how to respond without overstepping boundaries. Meanwhile, colleagues may suspect something is wrong but hesitate to speak up out of fear, stigma, or uncertainty. This silence enables addiction to thrive in the shadows. That's why awareness and training are essential. Employers must create a culture where mental health conversations are normalized and support systems are openly discussed. Leaders need to be trained in recognizing behavioral red flags, not to punish but to offer help. Clear protocols for intervention along with robust employee assistance programs, EAPs, can make a critical difference. Most importantly, the workplace must be a place where struggling employees can ask for help without fear of judgment or reprisal. It's not just about protecting productivity, it's about protecting people. Addiction rarely announces itself loudly, especially in professional settings. More often, it creeps in quietly, masked by stress, overwork, or personal difficulties. That's why the ability to recognize subtle behavioral shifts is crucial. Changes in demeanor, such as increased irritability, sudden mood swings, or uncharacteristic emotional withdrawal, can be early indicators. A once reliable employee might begin missing deadlines, arriving late, or appearing unusually tired or disoriented. Social withdrawal is another red flag. An employee who used to engage in team lunches or casual all-week conversations might begin to isolate themselves. They may appear disengaged during meetings, avoid eye contact, or offer vague excuses for underperformance. These signs, though easy to dismiss at first, often point to a deeper struggle. When noticed early, they offer an opportunity for timely support before the addiction intensifies. Addiction in the workplace isn't limited to alcohol or illicit drugs. It manifests in many forms, each with its own set of challenges. Substance abuse, including alcohol, prescription medications, and stimulants, is one of the most visible, but it's not the only concern. Behavioral addictions can be just as disruptive. Gambling addiction, for instance, may lead to financial stress, secrecy, and misuse of company resources. Internet addiction, particularly compulsive use of social media, pornography, or video games can drain productivity and compromise focus. Even workaholism, often disguised as dedication, can become an unhealthy compulsion that leads to burnout and avoidance of personal struggles. Understanding the variety of addiction types is essential for creating a responsive and inclusive workplace. What looks like procrastination or disengagement may in reality be an internal battle with an unseen addiction. Perhaps the most delicate part of addressing addiction in the workplace is knowing how to approach someone who may be suffering. Confronting a colleague about changes in their behavior requires more than observation. It demands compassion, discretion, and empathy. Jumping to conclusions or adopting a confrontational tone can push someone further into secrecy or shame. Instead, it's important to create space for open, non-judgmental dialogue. Phrasing like, "I've noticed you've seemed stressed lately. Are you okay?" is more effective than accusatory language. Managers should be trained in these communication techniques and supported by clear protocols on how and when to escalate concerns to HR or wellness teams. Co-workers too can be allies not by diagnosing but by extending kindness and listening without judgment. Ultimately, addiction is a human issue before it's a workplace issue. Recognizing that allows us to respond not with punishment but with presence and support. A healthy workplace culture doesn't just focus on performance metrics. It fosters open communication, psychological safety, and support for those facing challenges. For individuals dealing with addiction, the fear of stigma or professional consequences can be a significant barrier to seeking help. That's why creating an environment where vulnerability is not punished but welcomed is essential. Encouraging open dialogue about mental health and addiction breaks the silence that allows suffering to persist. Leaders and HR professionals should make it clear that asking for help is not a weakness but a strength. Regular check-ins, anonymous surveys, mental health awareness campaigns, and transparent policies can all contribute to a culture that empowers employees to step forward when they're struggling. When people believe they will be heard, not judged, they are far more likely to take the first step toward recovery. Leadership sets the tone. When executives and managers model healthy habits, such as maintaining work-life balance, using mental health days, or speaking openly about their own challenges, it sends a powerful message that well-being matters. A culture of silence often starts at the top. Leaders who project constant perfection or avoid conversations about mental health can unintentionally create a culture where struggles are hidden. On the other hand, leaders who are honest, present, and empathetic give others permission to be the same. It's also essential that leadership not just speak about mental health, but also back it with action, like ensuring workload is manageable, respecting boundaries, and supporting inclusive practices that recognize diverse experiences and stressors. Words mean little without infrastructure. A supportive workplace culture must be backed by accessible, effective resources. Employee assistance programs, EAPs, are foundational components offering confidential counseling, addiction support, and referrals. Yet, many employees are unaware of their existence or how to access them. Beyond EAPs, organizations can provide workshops on stress management, mindfulness training, wellness reimbursement, and educational content around addiction. Offering flexible leave policies, creating quiet spaces for decompression, and incorporating mental health into onboarding materials can also reinforce the message that support is available and encouraged. It's not enough to react to crisis. Proactive investment in employee well-being creates a ripple effect, reducing absenteeism, boosting morale, and retaining talent. When people feel safe and supported, they not only perform better, they thrive. Addiction, by its nature, is a progressive disorder that disrupts concentration, motivation, and reliability. In a workplace setting, this often translates into noticeable drop in productivity. Tasks that were once completed with ease may now be delayed or riddled with errors. The quality of work diminishes as the individual's mental energy is increasingly consumed by the addiction itself. Whether it's managing cravings, concealing behaviors, or dealing with physical and emotional withdrawal, employees may begin to miss deadlines, overlook important details, or fail to meet expectations they once easily exceeded. This creates a ripple effect. Teammates must cover for missed responsibilities, projects may stall, and supervisors spend more time managing underperformance than focusing on team development. Over time, this decline can damage not only the addicted, the individual's professional reputation, but also team output and project continuity. While absenteeism, frequent unplanned absences, tardiness, or early departures is a familiar red flag for addiction, Presenteeism is often the hidden cost. An addicted employee may still show up for work but be unable to focus or function at full capacity. They may appear physically present while mentally checked out, simply going through the motions without meaningful engagement. This can be just as damaging as absenteeism, if not more so. Presenteeism allows the addiction to remain undetected while productivity quietly erodes from within. It can also increase the likelihood of mistakes, oversights, and safety incidents, especially in high-risk roles like healthcare, transportation, or manufacturing. Whether employees are absent or simply disengaged, the business suffers in lost output, declining morale, and missed opportunities for growth. Beyond internal disruption, addiction can expose organizations to significant legal and reputational risks. An employee under the influence may breach safety regulations, mishandle sensitive data, or act inappropriately toward clients or colleagues. In industries that require compliance with strict regulatory standards, even one incident can trigger fines, audits, or lawsuits. Moreover, if addiction-related issues are mishandled by leadership, such as ignoring a known problem, failing to provide reasonable accommodations, or violating confidentiality, companies may face claims of negligence or discrimination. Reputational damage can be equally costly. In the age of social media and rapid information sharing, news of internal crises or ethical missteps can quickly tarnish a brand. Clients, investors, and the public increasingly expect organizations to uphold not just performance standards, but also values around health, safety, and human dignity. Recovery from addiction is not a solitary journey. It requires guidance, support, and access to resources, especially in the workplace, where the majority of a person's waking hours are spent. Employees must recognize that addiction is not simply a personal failing, but a treatable condition deserving of the same compassion and support as any other health issue. Offering resources such as counseling, educational materials, and referrals to treatment centers can make a life-changing difference. It signals to employees that they are not alone, that help is available, and that the workplace is a safe space for healing. Creating clear, visible pathways for seeking assistance can remove the shame and fear that so often keep individuals from reaching out. Support doesn't always need to begin with formal treatment. Even the presence of a trusted HR manager, a confidential discussion, or an internal support group can plant the first seed of recovery. A well-meaning workplace culture must be backed by structured policy. Employers need to have clearly defined procedures that outline how addiction-related concerns are handled, from initial observation and documentation to intervention, confidentiality, accommodations, and follow-up. These policies should be incorporated into employee handbooks, onboarding processes, and manager training programs. They should emphasize a balance between accountability and compassion, encouraging early intervention while also upholding fair, respectful treatment for all employees. Moreover, policies should be inclusive of all forms of addiction, not just substance abuse. As behavioral addictions such as gambling and digital dependency become more prevalent, organizations must broaden their definitions and update their protocols accordingly. While internal support systems are vital, they are often just the beginning. External community organizations, treatment centers, and support groups play an essential role in long-term recovery. Programs like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Smart Recovery offer peer-based support, accountability, and a sense of belonging that many employees desperately need. Employers can partner with these organizations to offer on-site virtual sessions, resource directories, or employee referral pipeline. Providing time off for treatment, encouraging participation in recovery programs, or even hosting guest speakers from local recovery communities can further destigmatize the process. Recovery doesn't end at the door of the office. It's an ongoing journey that thrives when personal, professional, and community support converge. By making these connections easier and more accessible, employers become powerful allies in the fight against addiction, not just for the benefit of the company, but for the transformation of individual lives. Addiction in the workplace is no longer a hidden issue. It is a growing reality shaped by modern stressors, remote work, and post-pandemic mental health challenges. Left unaddressed, it impacts not only the individuals who suffer silently, but also the teams, the culture, and the productivity of entire organizations. But awareness alone isn't enough. Employers, leaders, and co-workers must be equipped to recognize the signs of addiction, respond with empathy, and take action through structured policies and compassionate support. By fostering open communication, investing in wellness resources, and creating a culture that values healing as much as performance, we not only protect our workplaces, we elevate them. Supporting those who struggle with addiction isn't just a corporate responsibility, it's a human one. Because when we create environments that prioritize understanding over punishment, we empower people to seek help, recover, and ultimately thrive both in work and in life. If you or someone in your workplace is silently struggling with addiction, know this: you're not alone and help is available. We've created practical, accessible tools designed to support individuals on the path to recovery and equip workplaces to respond with compassion, not judgment. Download our free 7-day addiction recovery journal to take the first step in reflection and healing. For those ready to go deeper, our comprehensive 30-day recovery journal offers guided prompts, progress tracking, and emotional check-ins to help sustain momentum. And for the leaders, managers, and HR professionals, our book, The Ultimate Guide to Overcoming Addiction: Steps, Tools, and Resources, offers insight into building a truly supportive culture, spotting the early signs of addiction, and connecting your team to the right help. Recovery starts with awareness, but it takes action to change lives. Click the link below to access your resources and become part of the solution.